Welcome to AI TV News. This November, millions of American families are facing the risk of losing their food aid. At least 25 states are now warning that benefits from the nation's largest anti-hunger program could be cut off, creating a crisis for the most vulnerable. The program at the center of this is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. It helps more than 42 million low-income people put food on the table, which is roughly 1 in 8 Americans. For these individuals, SNAP is a critical lifeline. But that lifeline is now in jeopardy because of the federal government shutdown, which began on October 1st and is now stretched into its 4th week. Here is what's happening. SNAP is a 100% federally funded program. With Congress failing to pass funding legislation, the money has stopped flowing. On October 10th, the United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, sent a letter to all states. It instructed them to put a hold on processing November's SNAP benefits, citing insufficient funds. To pay for a full month of benefits nationwide costs about $8 billion. The USDA's contingency fund only has $6 billion. The impact of this shortfall is immense. Over 40 million people rely on these benefits. A large number of them are children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. In California, for example, over 63% of the 5.5 million people who receive benefits are children or seniors. In Georgia, 80% of households receiving SNAP include a child, a senior, or a person with a disability. And in Maine, more than half of all SNAP households include a person with a disability. States from across the political spectrum are sounding the alarm. California's Governor Gavin Newsom has warned that 5.5 million residents are at risk. Texas announced that benefits for 3.4 million people will not be issued if the shutdown continues past October 27th. Pennsylvania, New York, and Illinois have issued similar stark warnings, affecting nearly 8 million people combined in just those 3 states. So why is this happening? The immediate cause is a bitter political stalemate in Washington between President Donald Trump and Democrats in Congress over spending and policy issues. As is common in these situations, both sides are blaming each other. California Governor Gavin Newsom stated, "Trump's failure to open the federal government is now endangering people's lives." In response, United States Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins said, "Because of the Democrat shutdown, there are not enough funds to provide SNAP for 40 million Americans come November 1st. However, this shutdown crisis is unfolding on top of a program already under immense pressure. In July of 2025, President Trump signed a major reconciliation package known as H.R. 1. That legislation is projected to cut SNAP funding by nearly $200 billion over the next 10 years, the largest cuts in the program's history. It also introduced stricter work requirements and, for the first time, shifted more of the program's administrative costs to the states. The Urban Institute estimated that these changes were already set to cause over 22 million families to lose some or all of their benefits, even before the shutdown began. The consequences of a November cutoff extend far beyond individual households. Local food banks are bracing for what they call a double whammy, a massive surge in demand from families who have lost their SNAP benefits, happening at the exact same time their own federal aid is being delayed by the shutdown. Leaders of food banks say they simply cannot handle the entire burden. The Atlanta Community Food Bank noted that the $250 million in monthly SNAP benefits in Georgia is equal to the total value of food they distribute in an entire year. Local economies will also take a hit. SNAP benefits are spent at local grocery stores and farmers markets. In Adams County, Colorado, for instance, that amounts to $13.4 million in local economic activity each month. Every dollar in SNAP benefits generates up to $1.80 in local economic activity. Cutting off that funding means less business for farmers and small merchants and potential job losses. For families, the uncertainty is agonizing. States like New Jersey and Oklahoma have warned it's not even clear if EBT cards, the electronic cards used for SNAP, will work after November 1st, even if they have a balance from previous months. State agencies are advising residents to budget carefully, stock up on non-perishable items, and find their local food pantries. What happens next? The only way for full November benefits to be released is for the federal government to reopen or for Congress to pass a specific funding bill for SNAP. Some states are trying to help. California is deploying its National Guard to assist food banks and fast-tracking up to $80 million in state funds. But most states simply cannot afford to front the billions of dollars required, especially with no guarantee of being paid back by the federal government. Advocacy groups are urging the administration to use its contingency fund to at least release partial benefits, arguing that allowing millions to go hungry is a policy choice, not an inevitability. As the shutdown continues, a political dispute in Washington is quickly becoming a real-world hunger crisis for millions of children, seniors, and families across the country. It's a crisis made worse by deep, long-term changes to the very structure of America's food safety net.